All right, so for today's class, what we're going to do things a little different. So we're going to look at the Taino and Kalinago art forms, and then for tomorrow's class, we're going to look at the Kalinago social, political, and economic. I'm not sure we're going to reach economic, but we should be able to cover social tomorrow of the Kalinagos, right? So for today's class, the objective is discuss the various art forms of the Taino and the Kalinago Indians. What do we mean by art forms? When you hear the word art forms, what comes to mind? Art forms, anybody? You hear
Or things they made.
things they made? Yes, very good. Anyone else? Art forms.
Paints, what they used to paint all over their bodies.
Yes, paint all over their bodies. Very good. So those are some of the things that we're looking at when we're talking about art forms, right? So art forms involve a means of creative expression. Anything that they use to express themselves, that includes part of their art forms. So for example, recently this year, this was the headline in the Gleaner. Israeli miner turns over artifacts remains found in Helsha to Heritage Trust. So this miner, well, not really a miner, but he's working on, well, he's a miner, yes, but they are building some houses by Helsha. And while they were excavating the land or digging up the land to build houses, they found a lot of artifacts there on the land. They found zemis, they found pots, almost everything that the Tainos would have used. So we know for sure that they would have lived within that area because archaeologists would have found those things. Anybody has ever found any of the Taino remains home or things that look like it? The Taino, anything from the Tainos? Anyone in the back of their yard and found anything? Nobody?
No, sir.
Denton, you don't clean the back of the yard and dig up the mud and all of these different stuff.
Yes, sir. I dig up the money, but I don't search for things like that.
Oh, but all right. So ladies, they must try it one day. Try and see if they can excavate the ground to see what you can find. That's part of the role of a historian because once you excavate an area, you will find things to see what the people used to use. I remember I used to live in a yard once, and I used to play at a particular part of the place. And I used to dig the mud, and as I dig the mud, I used to find things like crockeries and plates and all of these different stuff. And it seems as if right there was that they used to burn garbage. They used to burn garbage even where I'm living right now. It's a construction, well, not really a construction, but if you look on the outside, there's a lot of broken glass and all of these different stuff. Maybe the persons who were living here before used to use that part as either to burn garbage or I don't know, but it could tell you some of the things that the people used to use that inhabit the space. So they say maybe a Coca-Cola glass Coca-Cola bottle, you know that they used to drink Pepsi or Coca-Cola. You see maybe a beer bottle, you know that they used to drink beer, whoever used to live there. If you see a certain type of crockery, you know you can tell about people's life by the remains that they have. On that note, the indigenous peoples, in particular the Tainos, also had quite a lot of artifacts remain. This is the same one that the gleaner said that the government should expand the Taino search at the Elsha quarry. It is well documented that Jamaica's indigenous Taino people, decimated by the arrival of the Europeans in the 1500s, inhabited the Elsha region on the island's south coast. Well documented. So if you live in Elsha, that side in Jamaica, you know for sure that you're living on Taino's property.
Sir,
Yes?
quick question. When you find these things, they get paid for it?
No, you usually hand them over, but if it is your land, you can keep it. But if they keep it, what purpose they going to do with it? So you just hand it over to the country for educational reasons.
Sir, why the country don't buy it?
That is a good question, but you could offer to sell it to them at a price. The other day this man was doing some stuff downtown. Like it's one of the old buildings in downtown Kingston, and he hit out the wall of the building and he found a lot of money in there, old money in the wall. Like I'm talking about, it's money that they would have used back then. So you know, say somebody was hiding their money in the wall and looked like the person died.
Yeah.
And nobody knew that the money was there. That's why when you're hiding your little monies, you shouldn't just hide it just so. Tell somebody about it.
Yeah.
Because that person died and it's a lot of, now that money is not in use, and maybe he had a family member, a son or somebody who once he died, and I'm talking about it's money from way back then, from when we used to use Spanish currency. Not the pound, the Spanish currency. We used to use a Central American currency.
Oh, so the
Pesos?
The
that was the time.
pesos.
Oh, so was that time when Spanish Town was the capital?
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
I'm not even sure, but even when once the British came and colonized, we used the Central American pesos for a very long time as our currency. Very long time. So these are some of the things when it comes to artifacts. Now we need to look at some of the things that they would have made. Tainos, remember that the Kalinagos would have gone and captured the females from the Taino settlement, right? So some of the art craft are going to be very, very similar. Very, very similar, especially this that we have today, which is the basket, the weaving of the baskets. This looks like something that they used to carry over their head. Not over the head, on their shoulder, and they put the fruits in it. and they would have weaved this from the thatch palm. This was an art craft that they would have done, and this was something that was very, very skillful that they would have done also. Any of you can do something like this today?
No.
All right. So even this is from the Kalinago, the Kalinago baskets. Look how beautiful this is.
So I see a lot of people making it though, like on the sidewalk and stuff.
That is a legacy that came down from the Kalinagos and the Tainos. Anybody used to the broom? I know the broom that is made from that.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Anybody else?
Yes,
Anyone
sir.
else? James, Bianca James, have you ever seen the broom made from the thatch palm?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So all of those brooms and stuff, maybe it wasn't that design, but the idea actually came from them. Yes, Christian, go ahead.
Yes, sir, and the broom is really rough.
It is very rough, but you know it sweep the place better than the new one, the
Yes,
new
sir.
type of broom. Most people use the thatch palm broom on the outside of the house. So those are some of their artistic design. Ladies, they have asked questions already to describe the art forms of the indigenous people or the art forms of the Tainos and the Kalinagos in the exam. So don't think that we're just going through this because we just want to go through it. Very, very important topic. They asked a question on this already for 10 marks.
Sir, just to describe that?
Yes,
Hey.
10
Sir, what was
marks.
the
And
question?
remember, by the time you guys will do the exam, COVID disappear already. So you're not doing paper one alone, you're doing both paper one and two.
Oh my gosh.
So,
So,
and
sir, 10 marks for this one thing.
not this one
Sir.
thing, they asked you to describe about the Kalinagos. Let us see if I can find a past
Yes,
paper.
sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
So in the description, would you have to give the traces as to like mention about the females that were taken from the Tainos tribe into the Kalinagos and then say like, oh, they were similar and then describe each one of them?
Yes, you can do it that way also.
Okay, sir.
That is very important detail. Another thing that they would have used, they would have made, they were very skilled when it comes to the carpentry, carving things from wood. The duo, which is the stool that the cacique sat on. They are different, and they would have made it in the forms of animals, very shiny. These are stools that they actually found. Very, very skillful in doing it today. Well, skillful because some of us can't do this, like myself. I remember to do something like this, and you have to cut down the tree, you have to get the board, you have to carve it out. And they never have material like what we have today. So it was quite a bit of work to do. Another one that they use, that there are several different types of it, the zemis, different ways in which the zemis were made from. And we know the zemis were made from wood, stone, coral, cotton, and also the bones of their ancestors. That was also a craft. That was also a craft. So you describe the process in which it was actually made. I sent to you the past paper questions, right?
No, sir, you didn't. Well, I don't see it. So
You don't see it in the Google Drive, not the Google
no,
Classroom.
no, sir. I'll have to look again.
So the Zemis are one example. The Zemis are examples that of their creativity.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead.
Are you going to send these slides?
I send every slides, every single class. Is you ask every class if I'm going to send the slides?
No, sir.
You don't see I send the slides and they record in every class. As the class finish, I put it up. Okay, I'm going to give you one example of, I'm going to write one of the past paper questions here. This was from which year? 2017. So this is a 2017 paper. And the first thing the question asks is to list 4 materials used by the Taino construct their houses. What are the 4 materials that were used?
Sir, was mud one?
Mud, yes. What else?
Stone.
Rock.
Stone or rock. What
Touch
else?
palm.
Touch.
Thatch palm. What
Wood.
else? And
Wood.
wood.
Vine.
Repeat.
Vine. Or was it wine?
No, I don't know what.
Vines.
Write it in the chat what you just said.
She mean vines, like
Oh,
vines.
vines. Okay, vines. Okay, good. Yes, so those are 4. So once you write the 4, and also don't leave out cotton. Cotton is very important. Easy to remember too. So you have the 4, and guess what? You're good to go. You get your 4 marks. But this is the one that the students might give you some problems. It should not, because that's why we're going through it now. The next question asks, outline 3 ways in which the Taino and Kalinago technologies were similar. 3 ways, that is it. Now, we know for sure that both of them would have done basketry. They would have also made carvings from wood. We know for sure that there's only the Tainos did the Zemis, but there were also other instruments that they use. Example, the vegetable peeler. Somebody read that for me, please, about the vegetable peeler.
Vegetable peeler. The
Yeah.
Taino used a vegetable peeler for scraping and cutting food and vegetables. The wider end was used for scraping and cutting, while the other end remained smooth because it was the section that was held.
Very good. So we know for sure that they would have made vegetable peeler to use to peel their vegetable. This now was usually also made from wood. So they carved it in a wood and to in a form of like a knife, like, all right, to peel their vegetable. Another one, this is the Taino yarn. Somebody can read it from your bowl.
The Taino bowl.
Yeah.
While the Tainos used bowls in preparation of meals, bowls such as these containing some animal bones, jaw, teeth, and long bones suggest that it may have been used for burial purposes.
And yes, and that is so true because so they would have also made their bowls from different woods to bury their, not to bury, they used it for food and all of these different stuff, especially when they are doing things like their pepper pot, the food, the pepper pot dish. A pepper pot is like a soup with a lot of water in it. So you need the bowl. And so what also is that they usually bury people with food in the bowls. So if you have a favorite bowl if you are living in a Taino village and once a person died, you bury them with their bowl and you put food and stuff in it also. So that was one. Another instrument that they use, somebody go ahead for me. Reader, please. Norman, Daniel Norman, the metate. Is Daniel in this class?
Sir, can I read?
Go ahead.
Metate were slabs of rock that were carved and were used with hand grinders or manos to grind corn, meat, or vegetables. Hand grinders were pieces of rock which were shaped in such a manner that they were able to crush meat, corn, and other vegetables.
Good. And today we still have the hand grinder that we use. When you're grinding anything, you put it on something and you have the little stuff on it where you grind it. What are some of the things that you think that they would have, well, it's there. They would have grind things like corn, meat, vegetable to grind it for it to get much soft. Yes, another technology or art forms of the Tainos. Not only the Tainos, but the Kalinagos would have also used this a lot. Also, go ahead for me, someone.
Amulets or pendants. The Taino loved to adorn their bodies with ornaments, which were made from a variety of materials such as stone, shell, bones, feathers, silver, gold, and animal teeth. These amulets or pendants were used as talismans and were worn around the forehead and neck to protect the wearer during warfare as well as from evil spirits and omens.
Very good. All right, so these are some examples. So they wore quite a lot of pendants, jewelry. They made their jewelry and their jewelries have various significance. There was quite the stones, shell, bones, feathers, silver, gold, animal teeth. Quite a lot of this was actually used. Now, what I'm going to do now is that usually when we talk about art forms, we are talking about things like their architecture, what they would have built, right? In terms of housing, how the housings were built, music, painting. Describe how they would have painted their bodies. What was the musical stuff that they would have gone through? The aritos, what that actually means, the pottery, what are the things that they would have carved, made from mud. Some of these things that they had, they made from mud. The sculpture, what they also would have used and made. When we talk about sculpture, what are we talking about?
Sir, like the zemis?
Yes, the zemis would fall under it. Use your Googles. Use your Googles, ladies. When we talk about sculpture, what are we talking about?
You're talking like statues and stuff like that, sir? You're talking like statues and stuff like that?
Would they have made statues?
Wouldn't like the house be like a sculpture for them?
But what they mean by sculpture? What is the definition of it? Because they could go into the exam and you'll see a question like that. And they tell you to describe their sculpture.
Sir, tell you the definition of sculpture?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, is the art of making 2 or 3-dimensional representative or abstract forms, especially by carving stone or wood or by casting metal or plaster.
All right, good. So what are some of the sculptures that they would have made?
Zemis.
The zemis would have been one of it, and they would have made zemis out of wood. Like sometimes they would have carved stones to make their zemis. Anything else?
So would like tools and stuff.
Their tools would fall under it also. The abstract things, for example, like the doors would fall as part of their sculpture. So if we need to talk, if we go into the exam and we see a question, I'm going to write the question here. That was asked. And this was from 20, where it is. This was from 2012. This was a 2012. 2012 paper. And the 2012 paper asks, this was the question, outline 3 ways in which sculptures were used in the religious practices of the Tainos. And this is 9 marks. 9 marks for that question. Outline 3 ways in which sculptures were used in the religious practices of the Tainos. Now, so that is one way they would ask the question. Another way that the question was asked was to describe three ways in which indigenous arts forms were used in building and craftsmanship of the Taino. This one is 12 marks. You see how weighted these marks are, ladies? Quite a lot of marks. So outline three ways in which the Taino and the Kalinago technologies were similar. Outline three ways in which sculptures were used in the religious practices of the Tainos, and describe ways in which the indigenous art forms were used in building and craftsmanship of the Taino. Now, one thing I'm going to do now, how much time we have? So for each group, I'm going to put you in breakout groups now for 5 minutes, and I'm going to give each of you one of these questions, right? And what you're going to do is that you're going to develop one of the points by using the peel approach. You're going to develop one of the points by using the peel approach. So when I'm going to put you into the groups, I'm going to let you know. So I'm putting you in 3 rooms. No, it's how much are you in the class? So I put in 6 rooms. So these are the names who are going to be in. So Robinson, Morrison, James, Christian, Christina, Robinson, Morrison, James, is Kalissa, Christina. You're going to look at the question. You're going to answer this question to outline this one here, to outline 3 similarities between the Tainos and the Kalinagos technology. That is the one that you're doing. Outline 3 ways in which the Tainos and the Kalinagos technologies were similar. Davis, Morgan, Norman, Williams, Groves. You're looking at outline 3 ways in which sculptures were used in the religious practices of the Tainos. Brown, Edwards, Emmons, Sterling, and Thompson, you are going to look at, describe 3 ways in which the indigenous art forms were used in buildings and craftsmanship. Take a screenshot of it so you know that what you are doing. I just want one point that you're going to develop.
Sir, can you repeat those persons, please?
Brown, Edwards, Emmons, Sterling, and Thompson, you're doing describe 3 ways in which the indigenous art forms were used in buildings and craftsmanship of the Tainos. All right.
So which group am I in?
What's your name?
Denton.
Denton, I didn't assign you to a group. I'm going to assign you to one.
Okay.
Sir, you didn't assign me either. Sir?
1 second. The others are gone in the group already? All right. I'm assigning Renee, I'm assigning you to group 2. McLeish, I'm assigning you to group 3. Sawyer, you're going into group 1, and Baker, you're going into group.
In a few minutes.
Is it like a similarity, like the way how they built their canoes?
I think I don't know.
I think I have one.
What is it?
They use the baskets made out of thatch palm to carry produce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are correct. The thatch palm is one from the basket, and the first one that was mentioned about the canoe is a second point you can also develop. Both of them would have used baskets and made baskets, and they would have also used made canoe. All of them would have made canoe from the silk tree. All right.
Sir, how about like the making of the weapons?
The making of the weapons, yes, they would have made their weapons also, and you could talk about the different weapons that they would have made.
Sir, you can mention the fact that they both hunted and fished and stuff like that.
Remember the question asks, describe 3 ways in which the Taino and Kalinago technologies were similar. So you could say, you could mention that they fish, but remember you have to mention the technology to say that they would have used, both groups were involved in fishing, so they would have used spears, made spears. You get what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying?
And like how they built their houses?
And how they would have built their houses. And the materials that they would have used.
Okay.
All right, ladies, I'm going over to the next group.
All right, bye, sir.
Bye.
So we got 2. So,
You got 3.
oh, so
Then
we're
we got
done.
4.
More than, yes, very good.
Amen. All right, we're done.
Don't we have to like formulate like a sentence?
Yes, you can do, where is the,
Well, it's a set, you just can't list them or you wouldn't get any marks.
no, you can't list them. You're not going to get any mark if you list them.
There's in a paragraph. Sorry, we're in the other group.
Yeah, I'm trying to go over. I'm going into group 2 now. All right, ladies, how is it going on in this group?
Sir, what are we supposed to just answer the question, then when we answer it, we'll come out together and discuss it?
Yes, outline
Okay.
3 ways in which sculptures were used in the religious practices of the Taino.
Okay, sir.
You have you have 1 point in which are 1 or 2 points already?
No, sir.
Tell me what sculptures, one of the main sculptures that they would have used would have been what?
Sir, the zemis.
The zemis, so they would have used the zemis. Outline
Yeah.
3 ways in which sculptures were used in their religious practices. So what they use the zemis for?
As a symbol and as a symbol to worship the gods.
To worship the gods. So you need to tell me what the zemis were used for. Another sculpture that they use in their religious practices is the stuff that they smoke the tobacco from.
Yeah. Sir, so like how they had different religious practices or ceremonies, would there be like a different zemi for each?
Yeah, man, they have several zemis to represent several different gods.
Yeah.
So if you go into the exam, one of the first thing you're going to tell the examiner is that they would have made zemis. The zemis represent several different gods, and you tell the examiner how the zemis were made. Another sculpture that they used was that they would have carved from wood the kobaya, I think that is the pronunciation, in which they would have used that to make the, what you call it now, the pipe in which the cacique smoked from. Another sculpture that was used during religious practices was what the cacique sat on.
Sir, the doho.
The doho, very good. So that is another one that the cacique would have used, and you state how it was made, and you state that the doho had various designs and carving of various animals on it.
Sir, so basically when you're answering the question, you basically give points and answer as many questions that you can find from the topic.
So for each point, you do the deal. So you give the point. So one of the main points is that they would have used zemis. Give examples of the zemis that they use, explain the purpose of the zemis or how the zemis was made, link it back to the question, till. Understand? So that those are the 3 ways.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Hello, ladies.
Yes, sir.
What the points you have for this one? Describe 3 ways in which indigenous art forms were used in buildings and craftsmanship of the Tainos. What's the points you have?
So the zemis and the duhos, the zemis were used in their place of worship or wherever they worship in because it was a god for them. And the duhos were chairs that were found in the caciques' houses.
Yes.
And
Sir, would the thing that they slept on that was made by the woman, would that be also considered an artifact?
No, craftsmanship.
Oh, you want craftsmanship? Okay.
That would consider craftsmanship. So it is an art form like the hammock. You are correct.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead.
The canoes that they carved out, would that be one?
Yes, the canoe would also be one. And you tell the examiner how the canoe was carved out.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good. So you have the points there. All right. Ladies, you're back.
Yes, sir.
All right. So for the first group,
Yes, sir. I should start.
yes, the first group, you can go ahead.
Um, the Tainos and the Kalinagos made their canoes by shaping and wetting the hollowed trunk and inserting wooden wedges of the different lengths to widen it in the middle and slightly taper it at each end. It was then buried in the damp sand to cure before being dried in the sun. When they made,
Excellent. So that is 1 point. So remember when you're doing When you're peeling, you give the point first and examples, explain, link. All right, very good. Next one from group 2. Outline 3 ways in which the sculptures were used in religious practices of the Tainos. Anyone from group 2?
Sir, for group 1, what happened with the other 2 points though?
No, we're just looking, remember I told you 1 point. You just need to develop 1 point. You can give me the other 2 points now. If you don't, our time has expired. What are the other 2 for group 1?
Yes, sir.
Sir, how they made their weapons?
How they made their weapons? Tell me about it.
Well, they use bow and arrows,
Mm-hmm.
tipped in some sort of poison. Most times used in wars. And they use cotton ropes.
Yes.
And spears with fish hooks to catch fish, or they also use it in war. And they also use clubs made of macana, some sort of stick, and hard shell thing, like I guess coconut or something like that.
All right, very good. That is perfect. And also, not only that, remember some other things that were similar would have been, so you talk about the canoe, that is one, but their jewelry, they both made jewelries from stones, from shells, and all of these different stuff, which also is part of their art forms. All right. The next group, group 2. Nobody's from group 2, group 3. Who is in group 3? All right, ladies, so guess what? We are at the end, because I've been asking persons from these groups to respond. I wasn't going to give it as a test. I'll just give the question as a test then.
Yeah.
Ladies, so thank you very much for these 3 questions. Over the weekend, please practice those questions. Don't be surprised by seeing it. Ensure that you use the peel approach. Enjoy the rest of the day. See you tomorrow morning.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.